This is the worst time to buy a box truck. This is the worst time to get into the industry. This is the worst time to start a box truck business. Diesel prices are at an all-time high. Inflation is going up like crazy. Brokers are paying less per mile than they ever have been. The industry is oversaturated with box trucks. There's way too many drivers. There's not enough freight. You're never gonna be able to make it. This is the absolute best time to get into the box truck business. There's never been a better time to start driving. You can be your own boss. Become an owner-operator today. You'll never regret it. The ports in Los Angeles are overrun. Stores are hurting to get inventory. People are buying things like crazy. They've been quarantined in their houses for the past 2 years. Our economy is booming. The trucking industry is in more demand today than it ever has been. So the question is, who's right? Is this really the best time to get into the box truck business? Or is it maybe the worst time? Or who knows the answer? I don't know the answer, but let's at least talk about it.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and
I've heard conflicting views. I've heard data that supports the fact that the industry is growing rapidly and expanding and we need more drivers and more trucks. I've also heard the argument that inventory is actually at an all-time high and stores are not buying as much now as they were last year or 2 years ago. I've also heard that consumers aren't buying as much due to inflation, the price is high. Whatever's going on with the market, it could be really good, it could be really bad, and you can watch the news, you can watch YouTube videos, you can do as much research as you want. I just feel like you're never really gonna get the actual answer. I feel like nobody really knows. Maybe you can dig around on the Department of Transportation's website and read through thousands of articles and pages, and you might find the right answer, but I don't think that is the solution to anybody's problem. I don't think understanding the true need for trucks and truck drivers and freight, I don't think that's gonna help you decide, should you start a box truck business or should you quit and sell your box truck because maybe you've been doing it for 6 months and it's just not working. I think some of that matters a little bit, but it's so far out of your control that, in my opinion, I wouldn't even worry about it. I think one of the main things that will lead to your success as a box truck owner-operator is your business model, your motivation, your work ethic, your organization. How good of a business do you operate? Don't worry about all those things out of your control. The price of diesel, there's literally nothing you can do about the price of diesel. How much brokers are paying. You can negotiate a little bit, but ultimately at the end of the day, the spot market will fluctuate up and down, and you have to run your truck no matter what. You're not gonna make any money if you don't run the truck for 2 weeks because diesel's too high and brokers aren't paying enough. And the ports of Los Angeles, the freight coming into the country, the freight moving around the Southeast or the Midwest, it's impossible to predict what's gonna happen with the freight. So I would not spend your energy, spend your time trying to predict where the next hotspot is going to be. Instead, I would focus internally on the things you can control. How organized are your documents? How good is your communication with your driver? How good is your communication with your dispatcher? Are you able to negotiate properly with your brokers? Do you have all the right fuel cards set up so that you can optimize your fuel and your discounts? Really, the main point of this is don't worry about things that are out of your control. Focus on what you can control. Focus on legitimately running a good business. And then I don't think it matters what happens to the market. I seriously believe your business will be successful no matter what happens on the outside. As long as you are running an efficient and productive business, I really think you're gonna be okay. I compare it to the stock market. It's impossible to guess when the stock market's gonna be up, when the stock market's going to be down. But as long as you're in the stock market, as long as you've bought stock, I think you're going to be okay. As long as you're consistently buying, as long as you're not doing anything reckless, I think you will be able to reap the rewards and benefits of the stock market. Same concept with the box truck business. As long as you are in the business, as long as you are being smart, not making any irresponsible decisions, and doing a little bit every day consistently, I really think you're going to be okay. You can get so lost in all of the drama, the politics, the news, what's going on outside. I wouldn't worry about that. Focus on yourself, focus on your operation, and focus on tightening up everything that you can control. Enough about the market. Like I said, I don't even really know. No one really knows what is going on with the market in the big picture over the next 2 to 3 years. No one can predict that. So just focus on yourself. Something you can predict and you can control are your fuel cards. Where you buy fuel and the fuel cards that you have. I talk a lot about Fuelman, and I was praising them for a long time, but I just found out last week that they are charging me $5 extra every time my driver goes to Love's. I did not know that. I kind of feel like they were pretty sneaky about charging me the extra $5. I'm pretty upset about it. So with that new information, I'm leaving Fuelman and I'm getting a card with Love's and Pilot Flying J. I simply asked my drivers, hey, where do you prefer to get fuel the most? And those are the two gas stations they prefer. I did a little bit of research, and I think that fuel is on average more expensive at Love's and Pilot Flying J, but they're all over the country. They're consistent, and my drivers like going there. They're not going to have to drive too far out of their way to find the smaller, maybe cheaper gas stations. They have all the amenities, they have the parking, they have the showers. So I think I'm going to stick with Love's and Pilot, but I was able to negotiate my rate, and I would recommend you do this. So I applied for both cards at the same time, and Love's Pilot came back at me and they offered me 16 cents off per gallon, or maybe the other way around. Love's offered me 16 cents per gallon, and then Pilot, a couple days later, they offered me 12 cents off per gallon. And then I went back to Pilot and said, hey, check it out. Love's gave me 16 cents. My rep from Pilot was like, oh, thank you so much for telling me. We really want to earn your business. We're going to match that 16 cents per gallon. That way you only fuel with us. And then a few hours later, I got a call back and he said, hey, guess what? I'm even going to give you 17 cents off per gallon just so we can be sure that you're not going to fuel up at Love's and you'll fuel up with us. So what you could do, I'm probably not going to do it because we're talking pennies here, and I know it adds up over the long run, and I might do it later, but I'm not going to do it right now. Theoretically, you could go back to Love's and say, hey, I just got 17 cents off per gallon from Pilot. Can you give me 18 cents, or what can you offer me? You can play that game. Whenever you're first signing up for your very first fuel card, you don't really have much leverage. You're probably going to be a new company, and you're probably not going to be pumping that many gallons. But as you get more established, as you get a fuel card, you can always negotiate. You can always negotiate. Never forget that. Everything is negotiable. A question I get asked all the time, what truck would you buy? If you can go back in time, what truck would you recommend that I buy? It doesn't really matter what kind of truck you get, but there are a few things that do matter. You've probably heard me say it 1,000 times, but if you're new to my channel, do not get anything smaller than a 26-foot box truck. I got an 18-foot box truck a year ago, and it was the worst decision of my business because brokers don't want to work with anything less than 26 foot. They barely want to work with a 26-foot box truck. They definitely don't want to work with an 18-foot box truck. I hear people say all the time, Freightliner this, International that, Mack, Hino. There's a bunch of different types of trucks, a bunch of different types of engines. Max Force, Detroit, Caterpillar, Cummins. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not even going to pretend to know the ins and outs of an engine. But what I do know is the newer the truck you get, chances are less maintenance issues in the short term. If you can find a truck 2016, 2017, you're probably going to spend less on maintenance this year than you would if you bought a truck 2010, 2011. My biggest piece of advice I have for you, buy the best truck that you financially can afford. Keep in mind, you're going to have to pay 20% down and hopefully you get a loan for the rest of the truck. But if you're buying a truck for $50,000, you're going to have $10,000 of cash in the very beginning solely to put as a down payment for the truck. So if you only have $5,000, Unfortunately, you can only afford $25,000 or $30,000 worth of a truck. I really recommend, if you only have $5,000, you should probably wait and save, because you're gonna need more cash than just $5,000. Just buy the best truck you possibly can get. This is a long-term investment. You're gonna have this truck for 3 years. There's no point in rushing and buying that 2005 GMC with 500,000 miles on it just because it's only selling for $10,000. I promise you that's going to be a bad decision. Try to get a truck 2017, 2018, less than 250,000 miles on it, and your business and your bank account will thank you in the next 2 years. Especially if you're running over the road, you want something reliable. You don't want to go to the mechanic over the road if you need an oil change or if you need any repairs. You wanna try to get something reliable that's gonna go over the road. That way you're not breaking down and going to mechanics that you've never been to before. Should you get a dispatcher? That's a really great question. It's a question I get all the time, and I'm always seeing people on Facebook and on YouTube complaining about their dispatcher, or looking for a new dispatcher, or hating on people that do have a dispatcher. So those are 3 different things. I'm gonna touch on all 3 of them. First of all, if you are hating on someone for having a dispatcher, you probably don't know their business model. Maybe they are a terrible salesperson. Maybe they don't have time to dispatch their truck. There's no need to spread negativity. So first of all, if you're gonna talk down on someone for having a dispatcher, just think twice about their business and what they're trying to accomplish. It might be different from what you're trying to accomplish. Second, if you are just starting out and you're looking for a dispatcher, I want to ask you 2 questions. Are you driving the truck yourself? If you are driving the truck yourself, I recommend try to dispatch yourself. No one will work as hard for your business as you. I promise you, you will be able to get a better rate per mile than any dispatcher. Don't ever let a dispatcher tell you that he can do a better job than you at dispatching your truck. He probably could if you were his only customer, but you're not his only customer. He has 10 other trucks that he cares about. And whether he gets you an extra $200 really makes no difference to him. He'd rather just book you a load for $1,000 than book you a load for $1,200, because that's really only $15 to $20 extra that he's gonna make. And he has to service his 9 other trucks. So he's not gonna push for your company as hard as you will for your company. If you have the time, if you're driving your truck, if you wanna save $500 a week, dispatch your own truck. There's a million different ways you can find loads: Amazon Relay, DAT load board, brokers, direct shippers. The options to find a load are nearly limitless, but the good loads are very difficult to find. You will spend 2 to 4 hours every single day dispatching your truck. In the beginning, it might get easier as your authority gets older, as you get more experience, but just plan to spend 4 hours every day dispatching your truck. But the cool thing is, get a laptop, get a tablet. While you're sitting at the shipper or the receiver, you're not doing anything else. You're gonna sit there for 2 hours anyway. You might as well hop on the DAT load board, make some calls to brokers, and dispatch your truck while you're waiting. The other option, are you hiring a driver? So if you're not driving your truck, if you're hiring your driver, you can still dispatch your truck, but it's gonna take a lot of time, like I said. So for me, I'm operating a bookkeeping business full time, 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. I do not have time to dispatch my truck 2 to 4 hours every single day. And I don't want to. I want to be more hands off with my trucking business. I want to grow a trucking business. I don't want to be a dispatcher. I don't want to work in my trucking business. I want to work on my business. There's a big difference there. So I outsourced my dispatching with the understanding that I'm not going to make as much money as I would if I dispatched my own truck, but I make the money with my bookkeeping business. I'm not trying to make $500 a week dispatching a truck. I'm trying to grow a trucking business. Also, if you're not driving your truck, chances are your goals are to buy another truck in 3 months, buy 2 more trucks in 6 months. As you buy more trucks, you're not going to be able to dispatch 3 or 4 trucks and run your business and do whatever you're doing on the other side. So I think it's even better, implement these strategies and processes now while your business is new and young. Like, get a dispatcher now, start working with a dispatcher now. That way, whenever you get 3 or 4 trucks, you already have that relationship established. Or the final option, maybe, I guess you could dispatch your own truck now, and then once you hire that second truck, you already know how to do it, so you could hire an additional employee to work in-house and dispatch your trucks for you. That might be a better option. I've considered that. Unfortunately, I don't know how to dispatch my trucks. I'm sure I could figure it out. I just haven't spent any time doing it. But if you do the math and you pay your dispatcher even 6% for 2 or 3 trucks, it very quickly turns into a full-time employee salary.